and mysterious, is home to countless creatures, including one of its most feared predators, the shark. Legends and stories have long painted sharks as monstrous assassins lurking beneath the waves, but in reality, shark encounters with humans are rare. But when they do happen, the results can be truly brutal. What incidents of shark attacks have been recorded that proved fatal? Here are 14 cases why you'll never go in the ocean again. Number 14. Stephen Schaefer. Windsurfer. Stephen Schaefer lost his life on the 3rd day of February in 2010 after being attacked by a group of sharks off the coast of Florida. A report from the Martin County Sheriff's Office revealed that he had bruises on his arms, suggesting he tried to fight them off in his final moments. The incident report stated that the 38-year-old had deep bite wounds measuring about 8 to 10 inches on his right thigh. His right and left buttocks also had several teeth marks. In addition to those injuries, he had bruising on the inside of his right arm and cuts on his hand, which appeared to be defensive wounds, signs that he had struggled to protect himself from the sharks. Stephen had been windsurfing about 500 yards from the shore at Stewart Beach in Florida when lifeguard Daniel Lund, using binoculars, noticed something unusual. Stephen was lying on the large sail of his board instead of riding the waves. "He was just holding onto his board, which wasn't normal for a kite surfer," said Daniel Wouters of Martin County Fire Rescue while speaking to a local news station. "Usually they catch the wind and keep going, but he was just holding on." Lund, who was 47 years old at the time, quickly reacted. He grabbed his long surfboard and paddled through rough waters, with waves reaching 4 to 6 feet high. It took him around 20 minutes to reach Stephen. As Lund got closer, he saw a terrifying sight. "There was just a lot of blood in the water," Lund later told reporters. He could also see several sharks circling nearby. According to the official report, Stephen was shouting that he had been bitten by a shark. Lund managed to pull him onto his board and started making his way back to shore. Though he didn't go into detail about Stephen's injuries, he confirmed that Stephen was awake and speaking when they reached the beach, where paramedics were already waiting. Bystanders who had watched the rescue unfold said the paramedics did everything they could, but sadly, they were unable to save Stephen's life. Number 13. Francisco Javier Solorio Jr. Francisco Javier Solorio Jr., a man in his late 30s from a small town in California called Orcutt, lost his life in a shark attack while surfing near Surf Beach at Vandenberg Air Force Base. It happened in the morning on October 23, 2012. He was out in the water with a friend when things took a tragic turn. Authorities said that Solorio had been sitting on his surfboard when a massive shark suddenly attacked him. His friend, who was nearby, rushed over and pulled him to the shore as fast as possible. Once they were on land, the friend tried to bring him back to life by performing CPR while waiting for help to arrive. Sadly, Solorio's injuries were too severe, and he didn't make it. Law enforcement officers from Santa Barbara County and officials from the Air Force Base quickly responded to the scene. Experts from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife were also called in to figure out what kind of shark was responsible. Judging by the size of the bite and the fact that these waters are known for shark activity, they suspected it was a great white shark. This wasn't the first deadly shark attack at Surf Beach. 2 years earlier, a teenager named Lucas McCain Ransom, who was just 19, had been put to death in a similar way while riding his boogie board. Despite warnings about strong currents and the presence of sharks, surfers still kept coming to the beach. After Solorio's death, officials shut down Surf Beach for safety reasons and put up signs to warn people about the danger. Locals and fellow surfers were heartbroken over the loss, but admitted that stepping into the ocean always comes with risks. Even after the tragedy, many surfers said they wouldn't give up their passion, knowing the ocean has its dangers. Number 12. Jana Luderop. This young woman from Germany, who was on vacation in Hawaii, lost her life on the 14th of August, 2013, a week after she was attacked by a shark, her family shared. Jana Luderop's mother and sister described her as a strong and beautiful person who always had a smile on her face. Jana did everything she could to survive, her family said. But today, we are heartbroken to say that she is gone. Jana, who was about 20 years old, had been snorkeling around 50 yards from the shore of Maui, Hawaii, when a shark suddenly attacked her, biting off her right arm. The attack happened around 20 minutes to 5 in the evening. Authorities later mentioned that the water conditions were rough, making it difficult to see. 2 men nearby and a kayaker quickly stepped in to help, pulling her out of the water. When emergency crews arrived, they found her unconscious and rushed her to Maui Medical Center. She was in critical condition. Jana had traveled to Hawaii after spending a year working as an au pair, according to the agency she was with, Cultural Care Au Pair. The company later confirmed that she had passed away peacefully with her family by her side. This was the 4th shark attack in Maui that year, with 2 happening in February and another in late July. Just 4 days after Jana's attack, a 16-year-old surfer was bitten by a gray shark in Pohoiki Bay on the Big Island. Number 11. Patrick O'Briney. Patrick O'Briney, a 57-year-old man from Stevenson, Washington, was attacked by a shark while fishing from his kayak off the coast of Makina, South Maui, Hawaii, on December 2, 2013. This tragic incident made him the first kayak angler in modern times to be unalived by a shark. Briney was out on the water with a friend, fishing some distance from shore, about halfway between Maui and the island of Molokini. While handling his lures, he had his right leg dangling over the side of his 9-foot-long kayak, which was said to be granite-colored. Suddenly, a shark of unknown species bit his leg. His friend, who was fishing several hundred yards away, quickly paddled over and applied a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. He then called for help from a nearby charter boat, the Sea Spirit. The crew rushed Briney to Kihei Landing, where emergency responders were waiting. Unfortunately, he did not survive and likely passed away before reaching land. Local fishermen later mentioned that the area is known for tiger sharks, which are often spotted near kayak anglers due to the struggling fish on their lines. A well-known kayak fishing guide, Captain John Tabin, said he had canceled his trip that day because of unusual ocean conditions. He noted that the murky water and the absence of turtles, which are usually present in large numbers, could have been warning signs of heightened shark activity. This fatal attack happened just 3 days after another shark bite incident in the same area. Earlier that August, a German tourist had died after a shark severed her arm at a nearby beach. Number 10. Arthur Medici. Arthur Medici, a 26-year-old man from Revere, Massachusetts, lost his life in a shark attack while boogie boarding off Newcomb Hollow Beach in Wellfleet, Cape Cod on September 15, 2018. He was a part-time engineering student and had a passion for surfing and outdoor activities. He was also engaged to be married and was described as a joyful, kind-hearted person by his friends and family. The attack happened around noon while Medici was out in the water with a friend, Isak Rocha. He was about 40 yards from shore when a shark suddenly bit him. Rocha saw a shark's tail and immediately swam toward Medici, but by the time he reached him, Medici was already unconscious. Rocha managed to drag him to shore, where people on the beach tried CPR and applied tourniquets in an attempt to save his life. He was then rushed to Cape Cod Hospital in Hyannis, where he was pronounced dead. This tragic incident was the first fatal shark attack in the state in more than 80 years, and the second attack on Cape Cod that summer. Just a month earlier, a 61-year-old man from New York was seriously injured by a shark in Truro, just a few miles away. Medici was deeply involved in his Christian church, loved hiking, biking, and sports, and was known for his big heart. His family and friends set up a GoFundMe page to help cover funeral expenses, raising over $16,000 by Sunday afternoon. A sunset vigil was held in his honor, and many people left messages of condolence on his Facebook page. His former employer at the Capitol Grill also expressed shock and sadness over his passing. Number 9. Lucas McCain Ransom. On October 22, 2010, a 19-year-old student from the University of California, Santa Barbara, named Lucas McCain Ransom, lost his life in a shark attack while boogie boarding at Surf Beach, located on Vandenberg Air Force Base. The attack happened between 9 and 9:30 in the morning, about 100 yards from shore. Ransom was in the water with his friend Matthew Garcia when a large shark suddenly appeared and bit into his leg. The attack was swift and without warning. Ransom managed to cry out for help before disappearing beneath the water in a cloud of blood. His friend Garcia attempted to locate him while struggling against the waves. He later spotted Ransom's floating red bodyboard, which was still attached to him by a cord. Garcia swam to his friend and attempted CPR while pulling him back to shore, but Ransom was unresponsive. Authorities estimate that the shark was between 14 and 20 feet long, with a bite mark measuring about 1 foot in width on Ransom's board. Officials from the federal and state fish and game departments are working to determine the exact species of the shark. The tragic attack led Air Force officials to close all beaches at Vandenberg for at least 72 hours as a precautionary measure. Warning signs were posted and patrols were set up along the shoreline using both land and air surveillance. This incident is not the first shark-related event at Surf Beach. Back in September 2008, a surfer's board was bitten by a shark, leading to a temporary beach warning. The area is known for shark activity, though nearby Jalama Beach has had fewer sightings. Ransom's mother shared that she had spoken to him earlier that morning before he went to the beach. She had advised him not to go into the water, but he assured her that he would be fine and would call her once he was done. Local residents, including families arriving at the beach unaware of the attack, expressed shock and sadness. Many acknowledged that while Surf Beach is known for its dangerous undertow, shark attacks are a rare but terrifying reality. Number 8. Ben Kelly. A tragic incident happened when a young man lost his life while surfing off the coast of Northern California. The surfer, who was 26 years old, was attacked by a shark on a Saturday afternoon at about 1:30. It was the second day of March 2020. The attack took place at Sand Dollar Beach, not far from the shore. Then, authorities quickly responded to the scene. State Parks is handling a shark attack at Sand Dollar Beach in Santa Cruz County, the local police department posted on Facebook. Unfortunately, the young man didn't survive and was pronounced dead right there. At the time of the attack, there were 2 other surfers in the water as well. The Santa Cruz Sheriff's Department later identified the victim, who ran his own surfboard business in the area. Following the news, people flooded his business page, Ben Kelly Surfboards, leaving heartfelt messages. Someone wrote on Instagram, "I only knew Ben through the surfboards he made for me, but he was one of the nicest, most down-to-earth guys." Another person, a close friend, posted, "I'm in shock. My heart is broken. Ben, you weren't just my best friend, you were my brother." Officials haven't been able to confirm what kind of shark was responsible for the attack. In response, warning signs have been placed at every beach entrance within a 1.6-mile radius of where it happened. One of the signs reads, "A shark attack occurred on May 9, 2020, within 100 yards offshore." Water sports and activities are strongly discouraged. Despite the shark attack, people are still surfing and swimming in the area. However, local authorities have been shutting down the beach every day from 11 in the morning until 5 in the evening to prevent large crowds from gathering due to the coronavirus situation. The beach is completely closed during those hours, and no one is allowed in, the California Department of Parks and Recreation announced. Number 7. Julie D'Imperio Holowach. On the afternoon of July 27, 2020, Julie D'Imperio Holowach was swimming with her daughter off Bailey Island, Maine, when a shark attacked her. A witness saw the attack unfold, and 2 kayakers rushed to help. They managed to get her to shore, where an ambulance arrived, but she was pronounced dead at the scene. The 2 kayakers, a man and a woman, had been on the shore when one of them saw something breach the water. Realizing something was wrong, they acted quickly. One kayaker pulled Holowach from the water while the other paddled them back to land. Their courage was widely recognized, but they chose to remain anonymous. Stephen Arnold, a local resident, had been looking out of his window at the time. He saw Holowach and her daughter splashing and laughing in the water near a rock ledge. Suddenly, he noticed Holowach being lifted out of the water, followed by her screams. Within seconds, she thrashed, went limp, and disappeared beneath the surface. Arnold immediately called 911 while the kayakers brought her back to shore. Holowach was a seasonal resident of Harpswell, and her death deeply impacted the local community. She was well known and respected, along with her husband. Friends described her as generous, intelligent, and athletic. Elizabeth Buff Harrington shared that Holowach had a big heart and a love for life, while another neighbor remembered her as warm, civic-minded, and always smiling. Holowach had an impressive career, having been the president of Kipling North America before retiring in 2016. She also served on the board of directors for Seabags, a Maine-based company. Her former colleagues praised her leadership and contributions, calling her an inspiring figure in the industry. Shark attacks in Maine were extremely rare. Before Holowach's death, the only recorded unprovoked attack had happened 10 years earlier when a poor beagle shark bit a diver's camera off Eastport. Experts described the attack as highly unusual, but urged people to stay cautious, especially near areas with schooling fish or seals, which attract large sharks like great whites. Following the incident, authorities placed restrictions at Popham and Reed state parks, preventing swimmers from going beyond waist-deep water. Experts also advised avoiding shiny objects while swimming and staying out of the water at dawn and dusk. Despite the tragedy, officials reminded the public that while shark attacks were rare, vigilance was necessary to ensure safety. Number 6. Rob Warren. Robin Robb. Warren was a well-loved surfer from Napili, Maui. At 56 years old, he had spent years riding the waves and was a familiar face in the local surfing scene. But on the morning of December 8, 2020, everything changed. While surfing at Honolulu Bay, a place known for its beauty and strong waves, Warren was attacked by a shark. The bay was also hosting the final event of the Women's World Surf League season, the Maui Pro. Despite being rushed to Maui Memorial Medical Center, his injuries were too severe, and he sadly passed away the next day. The attack happened just before 8 in the morning, about 20 yards from the shore near an old boat ramp. Witnesses later spotted a tiger shark, believed to be between 9 and 13 feet long, swimming in the area. After further investigation, DNA tests confirmed that a 14-foot tiger shark was responsible for the attack. Warren's death shook the community. He was not just a surfer, but a husband, a son, and a brother to 4 sisters. To help his family during this tough time, a GoFundMe page was created in his honor. His tragic passing put the World Surf League in a tough spot. They had 3 choices: keep the event at Honolulu Bay, cancel it altogether, or find a new location. In the end, they decided to move the competition to Pipeline, a legendary surf spot on the nearby island of Oahu. Pipeline is one of the most dangerous waves in the world, and up until then, women had never competed there in a championship tour event. But after this heartbreaking event, the spot became a regular part of women's surfing competitions. Since then, female surfers have taken on the same waves as the men at what is now the first event of the championship tour season. Many have spoken about the challenges of learning to surf in such intense conditions, but also about how much it has pushed them to improve. Warren's passing was a heartbreaking reminder of the dangers of the ocean, but it also left a lasting impact on the sport and the people who loved him. For today's subscribers pick, we dive into what many call the worst shark attack in history. A nightmare that turned the ocean into a watery hell. This is the story of the USS Indianapolis. On a dark night in the summer of 1945, the Indianapolis sailed home from a top-secret mission. Then, without warning, enemy torpedoes struck. Within minutes, the ship vanished beneath the waves, leaving over 900 men stranded in the vast, open ocean. Then the sharks came. At first, they circled, watching, waiting. Then, the first attack. A man was yanked below, his screams swallowed by the sea. Soon, the water turned red. Some believe the oceanic white-tip shark struck first, but others suspect something worse was afoot. Tiger sharks, perhaps even great whites, all drawn to the bloodbath. The men had nowhere to run. For 4 long days, the survivors endured the horror, watching their shipmates disappear one by one. The water churned with unseen monsters, their hungry jaws striking at random. The only choice was to float, pray, and hope the next attack wasn't meant for them. When rescue finally arrived, only 316 remained. The rest had been swallowed by exhaustion, dehydration, and the relentless, merciless teeth of the deep. Number 5. Thomas Butterfield. Thomas Abraham Butterfield, a 42-year-old man, was attacked while bodyboarding in Morro Bay on Christmas Eve in 2020. The shark bit him on the head, chest, and shoulder, causing severe injuries. A coroner later confirmed that he died from complications due to multiple deep wounds and blunt force trauma. The news was first reported by the Tribune of San Luis Obispo County. A small piece that looked like a shark's tooth was found on his body, according to a report by a sheriff's detective. This information was included in documents released to the newspaper through a public records request. The size or age of the shark was never determined, but one of the bite marks measured about 16 inches across. Butterfield had been spending the holidays with his mother and brother in Sacramento when he decided to go bodyboarding. The attack happened on December 24th, just north of Morro Rock. A surfer noticed him floating face down in the water, still attached to his bodyboard, and rushed to pull him out. Sadly, he had already passed away by the time help arrived. The coroner's report revealed the extent of his injuries. He had a fractured skull, broken ribs, and other serious wounds, including damage to a major vein that carries blood from the lower body to the heart. Dr. Joy Carter, who conducted the autopsy, concluded that Butterfield had died within minutes of the attack. A DNA test confirmed that a great white shark was responsible for his injuries, according to Mike Harris from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Investigators couldn't determine if the shark struck once or multiple times. Morro Bay is located about 200 miles north of Los Angeles. Shark attacks had been on the rise worldwide in 2021 after 3 years of decline. According to a report from January, the United States recorded the highest number of attacks, with Florida making up nearly 40% of unprovoked bites globally. Number 4. Christy Allen. Christine Allen, a 60-year-old woman, disappeared on December 8, 2022, while snorkeling near Kiawakapu Beach in Kihei, Maui. Around the same time, people reported seeing an aggressive shark feeding in the area. The United States Coast Guard, along with the Maui Fire Department and ocean rescue teams, searched for her by air and sea. Sadly, after 40 hours, the search was called off when no trace of her was found. Known as Christy to her friends, Allen was a massage therapist and life coach. Her husband, Blake Allen, shared that a memorial would be held for her in Bellingham at a later date. Before her trip, Allen had posted on Facebook about how excited she was for the vacation. "Following dreams," she wrote. "I have wanted to learn to surf for years. I am committed to create a life I love in big and small ways." Blake Allen later told officers from the State Department of Land and Natural Resources that he and his wife had entered the water about 50 yards from shore when he noticed a shark behaving aggressively. As it circled him, he lost sight of his wife and assumed she had gone underwater, possibly diving toward the ocean floor. He continued searching and spotted something in the distance. But before he could get closer, the shark returned. That's when he noticed something red around its gills. At that moment, people on the beach began shouting at him to get out of the water, warning that a shark was feeding nearby. A witness on shore later confirmed seeing a large shark feeding on something in the middle of a red cloud in the water. Number 3. Felix Louis Njai. Felix Louis Njai, a 52-year-old man originally from Gambia, went missing in November 2023 after a suspected shark attack at Wildcat Beach in Point Reyes National Seashore. He had been celebrating a friend's recent wedding when the incident occurred. Witnesses reported seeing him in the water when a shark attacked, and despite search and recovery efforts by the National Park Service, his body was never found. Though the Park Service did not officially confirm his identity, friends and a sailing magazine, Latitude 38, identified him as the victim. Njai was well known in the wind sports community, particularly for his passion for kite surfing. He trained regularly at Crissy Field in San Francisco and in Hood River, Oregon, with hopes of one day representing Gambia in the Olympics. Originally moving to the United States to study computer engineering at the University of Pennsylvania, Njai later settled in San Francisco, where he pursued a career in technology entrepreneurship. He was listed as the CEO of ENIAC Labs, a technology incubator, at the time of his presumed death. His close friend, David Thawley, shared that Njai had lived in Coal Valley for about 2 decades. Friends described Njai as an incredibly positive and energetic person. He had a habit of giving his friends nicknames and was always looking to bring people together, organizing events like movie nights and an annual Thanksgiving flag football game called the Turkey Bowl. His presence in the wind sports community was deeply felt, and his fellow kite surfers honored him with a memorial at Crissy Field, raising a glass in his memory. Despite the tragic way his life ended, those who knew him want to remember Njai for his kindness, ambition, and enthusiasm for life. Number 2. Jason Carter. Jason Carter, a man in his late 30s, lost his life on a Saturday, December 30, 2023, after lifeguards rushed to help following reports of an unusual emergency. Rescue teams quickly arrived at Playa Beach, where they found Carter badly hurt after a terrifying encounter with a shark. They managed to bring him back to shore, but his injuries were severe. Once he was on land, first responders did everything they could to save him until medics arrived and took him to Maui Memorial Medical Center for further treatment, the Hawaii Department of Land and Natural Resources shared in a statement. Witnesses recalled how massive the shark was, saying its fin was almost as tall as Carter himself when he sat on his board. Hearing him scream was heartbreaking, one person said. After the attack, officials closed Baldwin Beach Park and Lower Playa Park to keep people safe while they patrolled the area using jet skis. Warning signs were also placed at nearby beaches to alert the public about potential sharks in the water. Authorities have not officially called the incident a shark attack and have not shared specific details about Carter's injuries. While an investigation is ongoing, police have ruled out any foul play. An autopsy has been scheduled. Friends and fellow surfers flooded social media with tributes, heartbroken over the loss of someone they deeply admired. Ryan Glenn wrote, "Love you, brother. You're a legend and so loved. We'll keep shredding down here, and I know you'll be doing the same. Rest in peace." Then another commenter, Joel Montalongo, shared, "Man, we lost another amazing friend. Jay Carter, rest easy, my friend." And yet another user, Joshua Gibbons, posted, "Jay Carter, rest in peace. I'm grateful for all the times we surfed and biked together." Number 1. Tamayo Perry. On a Sunday in late June 2024, Tamayo Perry, a man in his late 40s, was brought to shore after an emergency call was made, but it was too late to save him, according to a statement from the Honolulu Emergency Services Department. Tamayo had been surfing near Goat Island on Oahu's northeast shore when a call came in just before midday, reporting what seemed to be a deadly shark attack. The caller said the man's body had been badly bitten. Lifeguards rushed to the scene and brought him back to shore at Malekahana Beach, where he was sadly pronounced dead. Tamayo had made a name for himself in the surfing world. In the late 90s, he won a major trial competition at Pipeline, one of the world's most famous waves, securing a spot in the main event. He even managed to beat the top-ranked surfer in that competition. A few years later, he competed in the Billabong Pro T Hupu in Tahiti against legends like Kelly Slater and Andy Irons, finishing in the top 5. He was known for his unique surfing style, which was inspired by famous surfers Jerry Lopez and Tom Carroll. A well-known surfing magazine once called him one of the most dedicated pipeline specialists of all time. Tamayo became a lifeguard in the mid-2000s and worked with Honolulu Ocean Safety for several years. Alongside his surfing career, he pursued acting and even played himself in a 2000 surfing movie called Blue Crush. He also worked as a stuntman in other Hollywood films. On his personal website, he once wrote, "Besides surfing, another huge passion of mine is acting. When I'm not acting, I'm still quite a character, so there's always a ton of fun to be had." Tamayo was born in the mid-70s on Oahu and grew up in a small town on the island's north shore. His mother, who was a teacher, passed away a couple of years ago. He is survived by his wife, Emilia Perry, who was also a surfer and taught surfing alongside him, as well as two brothers. At a news conference, an official from the Ocean Safety Department described Tamayo as a lifeguard who was deeply loved by everyone, saying, "Tamayo's energy was contagious, and as much as people loved him, he loved them even more." The mayor of Honolulu also spoke about him, calling him a legendary waterman. It is unclear what type of shark was involved in the attack, but Hawaii's waters are known to have white-tip reef sharks, sandbar sharks, scalloped hammerheads, and sometimes tiger sharks. Officials have put up shark warning signs near the area where Tamayo lost his life. Shark attacks are rare in Hawaii. This was the fourth reported shark-related incident in the state this year. Since the mid-90s, 9 people, including Tamayo, have died from shark attacks in Hawaiian waters. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.